We have spotlighted a fairly wide variety of what we call apprenticeable occupations. Now, that's not really a word you'll find in the dictionary, but it's one we use about every day. It's a term of art that we use to describe jobs that can be trained for with a combination of classroom instruction on the theory and on-the-job hands-on learning under the tutelage of a more experienced worker. And that's the registered apprenticeship model. And that's what we try to promote during National Apprenticeship Week. So we've introduced you this week to the roles of data analyst and scientist, data scientist, two distinct roles there, but they are both apprenticeable, believe it or not. And then more traditional occupations for apprenticeship, like carpenter for a large construction company, industrial maintenance technician in a large manufacturing plant, and then entrepreneurial web developer. That was a very interesting discussion yesterday. But we've saved perhaps the most unique for last. Today, we're going to feature the role of golf course superintendent or turf management specialist. Now, that's a job you can prepare for in a new registered apprenticeship program at North Arkansas College in Harrison. I'm David Wallace from the State Office of Skills Development in the Arkansas Department of Commerce. We're the home of registered apprenticeship in Arkansas, among state agencies anyway. But of course, we work with a number of really good partners, the U.S. Department of Labor, and its staff here in Arkansas. Randy Prather, the state director of the Office of Apprenticeship in Arkansas for the U.S. Department of Labor, and other partners such as NorthArk that I've mentioned, and the Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. Day in the Life is an ACDS production, and you can find the library of previous episodes on their YouTube page, including all of these I've discussed, talked about during National Apprenticeship Week. So look for the Arkansas Center for Data Sciences on YouTube, or go to acds.co, their webpage. Well, our guest today is a young apprentice with Big Cedar Golf, which is the primary employer participating in the NorthArk Turf Management Apprenticeship Program. His name is Keaton Brown. And the best way to introduce Keaton is to show a short video that NorthArk commissioned earlier this year about the program. We're going to call on Marie, who'll share her screen, and we'll watch that short video now.
My name is Keaton Brown, and I'm from Harrison, Arkansas, and I'm currently studying in the Turf Management program at North Arkansas College. I am studying in turf management at North Arkansas College to become a first assistant or a superintendent of a golf course. North Arkansas College has really helped me academically because I get knowledge at school and I get knowledge on my on-job training, so I can instantly take what I'm learning on the job or at school and just directly put it to what I need. I always wanted to be outside. I never wanted to be in an office or have to worry about this. I always wanted to be outside and knowing I'm getting something done, really. And NorthArk actually came to the school I was at and talked about the program, and it instantly struck my attention because I just knew that's what I wanted. So when they came to school, it was instantly I could talk to somebody, and it got me to that next step to where I am right now.
Very good, very good. Thanks for playing that, Marie. And Keaton, thanks so much for being here. We got a good flavor, of a little bit of what you do at the golf course, but I want you to start out by explaining a little bit about how the apprenticeship program in NorthArk is structured, the overall program encompassing both your classroom and what you do on the golf course, because it does combine classroom learning there in Harrison and then real work on the golf course that we saw a little bit of. That's just over the state line in Missouri, correct? Tell us a little bit about how it all goes together.
Oh, so basically we work a full-time job. So it's full 40 hours or more a week. And at a golf course, 40 pretty much never happened. I mean, it was 50 or more, especially when you're at a upper level golf course. I mean, we had Tiger Woods come in, and we were getting close to 60, 65-hour weeks. So with school, it was basically, how can we make it to where school isn't so challenging that you can't even focus on school because you're so worried about your job. So we got to the point to where now we've split up all the classes into, you do one a month, and it's kind of a faster pace, but it's not 5 different assignments at once, if that makes sense. So it made it a lot easier for someone who can take work at Big Cedar to school that is not English, math, plant science, biology, and just, it's really packed. So basically we split all that up and made it a lot easier for the student.
Right. You work for, now tell us about your employer. I mentioned that they're the primary employer partner of the apprenticeship program, and really it was the impetus of Big Cedar needing golf course superintendents that were rated highly at a certain level because of tournaments that they want to put on. Is that part of the plan, and what do you understand about all that?
Absolutely. So, I mean, at Big Cedar, Johnny Morris produces the best. I mean, they got number 1 and number 2 golf course in the state of Missouri.
Let's give some context to that. Now, Johnny Morris, you might, for those who don't know, I can't imagine there will be many, but who is Johnny Morris, and what does he head up?
Johnny Morris, he owns a lot. I mean, he owns Bass Pro, Cabela's. I mean, anything in Missouri, I mean, that guy pretty much owns. Is how I feel about it. He kind of runs the show.
He's Mr. Outdoors, I guess, and now he's gone big into the golf business. Is that right?
Absolutely. And he don't do nothing small. I mean, when Tiger Woods came down, we had a ginormous waterfall built just for this one hole. It wasn't even on the course they were playing on, but he wanted it to be the best waterfall they ever looked at in their life. And as soon as it was over, we took it right back down because it was only for them. So it's kind of like, okay, but I mean, that's just kind of who he is. And that's what he promises for golfers that come play his course. I mean, you're going to pay $165 to play around the golf. You don't want, the bare minimum. So it's cool to see when I play golf personally. So it's cool to see a $65 round course and then a $375. I mean, you think, well, that's not a public course because, I mean, you got to have a lot of money to waste, pay that much to play golf. But it really is worth it.
And you work on those upper end courses. So what are let's see, I think I've jotted the names of those down somewhere. We're talking about Paynes Valley, of course. What are some of the others? Mountaintop, Top of the Rock,
and then Buffalo Ridge, Top of the Rock, Ozark Nationals, and then Paynes Valley, and Mountaintop.
All right. And again, for those that aren't aware, that would be most of us, because that's what this program is all about, for you to take us inside your world there and tell us what a day in the life is like. But to just further set the context, there's a national organization called the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America that sets the standards for your occupation. Is that right? And so what rating is Johnny Morris aiming for to get his folks qualified for? And personally, what rating are you aiming for in your field?
I think if I understand, kind of, you may have to.
All right.
Word it differently,
I'm speaking of the various levels of turf management within the rating system of the GCSAA, right? And so you have to, as I understand it, you have to have a course has to have some highly rated folks to be able to put on PGA level events and top professional events like that, right? So which ones are you? Tell us a little bit about that rating structure, and which one are you aiming for?
So as far as Big Cedar, they kind of aim for all of it, really. I mean, they want to go PGA events. I mean, so they're not aiming for, we do the kind of amateur division. We do that once a year, but I mean, they really want PJ, and a lot goes into it. Like if you don't have the right greens, the right fairways, the right rough, I mean, a lot goes into it because once you get to that level of players, I mean, the green rolls 3 times as fast as a smaller course. Or so obviously, I mean, I want to be this kind of the same way. I mean, when I go to work, I don't want to be mediocre, if that makes sense. I mean, I want to produce the best for whoever I work for, because I don't want to be known as the guy that just kind of is there. I mean, so going to get my degree in it, I want to kind of have that background that they kind of know I'm going to do my best, produce the best. So that way, years down the road, the assistant quits or retires, they instantly know that I'm ready for that job.
Well, you said that a lot goes into preparing those championship level courses. Let's talk specifically about some of the jobs that you've done as a part of the apprenticeship and your on the job training. What are some of the projects you've been involved in? What is it specifically that has to be done? I mean, we can see the pictures, or we can walk around the golf courses and we can see how immaculate it is. But what are the specific jobs and the things that it takes to put it in that condition?
So kind of to start, I mean, greens is probably the most important thing on a golf course. So, and in that video, that real mower that I'm using actually is the greens mower, and it mows grass to 1/1000th of an inch. So, I mean, it's hard to even see something like that. It's extremely little. So, and if one thing's off, and it starts all the way to the mechanic, if the mechanic ain't got it right, then there's going to be stripes all through the green, and it just doesn't look good. So really it's a large team effort when it goes into a golf course. I mean, you have the superintendent that has to know everything. I mean, he's got to know what kind of fertilizer, chemical, what kind of seed to throw. I mean, what height to cut. And if the mechanic can't produce that kind of cut on the mower, I mean, it just kind of all goes downhill from there. And then all the way to just the normal groundskeepers. If they don't got the effort or the want to be there, then you're not going to see the results. So in a way, it seems like there's not much when you go play golf. You're like, oh, you just mow grass. But I mean, if you don't have the people that want to be there, then you're never going to get to that part.
Well, it's knowing about the grass. You know, you're talking about a green being 1/1000th of an inch. I can't even show you what 1/1000th of an inch is, but that's not, if I were to mow my grass to that level, it wouldn't be grass. That's just roots. So we're talking about very specialized kinds of variety of grass. And you learn about that, I guess, in your classroom classes, right? What are some of the classes you've taken at NorthArk that give you the foundation for knowing what you're doing out there on the course?
We have a plant science that really kind of goes more into the root system, kind of like how to keep stuff alive. I mean, obviously we have, trying to think, go back to the beginning, but.
So you've had courses in like soil science. Is that one of the courses? Okay.
And we've had soil. I can't remember what the name of it. Yeah, we've had intro to turf, which kind of is the baseline. So like all the different, you have bent grass, fescue, tall fescue. I mean, you got Kentucky bluegrass. That's kind of where you'll learn all that. And then you go to a plant science that kind of shows you the root system, how you can only cut certain grass to a certain height without killing it.
The greens that on the courses you're working on, what grass is that? Poen?
Bent grass.
Bent grass, I see. So is that pretty much indigenous to most of the top courses in this part of the country?
Yeah, they the newer courses, they went to T1 bent grass, which is basically modified to where it should fight diseases longer.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to still spray chemicals, still put fertilizer, still water daily to prevent those, but they're still upgrading and kind
of. We've gotten a little help from Michelle Buchanan, who is your instructor at NorthArk, talking about intro to turf grass management as being one of the key
Mhm.
courses. What did you learn in that course that you were able to apply when you took it out to the course? And tell me a little bit about that, the quick turnaround that you get in an apprenticeship program to be able to immediately apply on a job, what you're learning in a classroom.
So intro to turf was I mean, taught you everything about the grass and the different types. So, and I did it online. So it was super quick turnaround. I could go to work and be like, hey, I asked my superintendent, what do we use here? And kind of get his advice as well. So I wasn't just limiting it to myself and my own kind of research, my knowledge, like pushing it to where I could ask him or an assistant, like, why is this grass different than this one? So it helped me a lot to be able to work at the same time because I could ask the questions while being in school. Because I mean, there were some things that we'd learn in school and it would just completely blow my mind. Well, then I'd go ask my superintendent the next day, the next morning, and he'd be like, well, this is why we use this instead of this in the state of Missouri.
And as we continue to talk, feel free to put your questions in the chat. We're going to look again at some of the things that Keaton has been talking about, what he's doing out on the course here as we look at some of the scenes from that video. And there you see that's actually in the fairway. And there's Michelle, right? Is that your primary instructor?
That's her. And then that's my superintendent. His name's Aaron.
I see. Has he been your mentor on the course?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And what's that? Tell us a little bit about how that relationship works, what it's like between you and him.
That's big. I mean, if there's one thing that's the biggest, it's your relationship with your bosses. Because obviously there's a lot of different personalities in the world. And luckily for me and him, it kind of just clinged and we kind of always got along, which is one thing I was really glad for. And it really helped me want to be at work because, I mean, I've obviously worked in places and I just did not get along with my boss and it drove me crazy and just simply destroyed my want to be there. And I hated that. So for me to have a good relationship with him was key in a work environment.
And I would think that this kind of goes back to an earlier thing we were talking about that immediate turnaround where you can apply what you've learned. I would think that having somebody on the job that can sort of explain what came out of a book and what the instructor's been talking to you about in a classroom would be so valuable, because before you forget it, I mean, later on in that same day, you can ask Aaron if you don't fully understand how this might apply to the real world. You can ask him about it and get that immediate feedback. I would think that's a great benefit.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to encourage other people to put questions in the chat, or later on we'll give you the go sign for just unmuting and talking to Keaton. I think we've got some of his compatriots, some folks he maybe has gone through the apprenticeship program at NorthArk with, and they may want to get on here and give you a hard time, Keaton. That's fine too.
That's
how many
fine.
folks are in the, I believe it's about eight apprentices that began when you did? Is
Yeah, we
that
had
right?
quite a few. I think 4 of us went to Big Cedar to kind of do the golf side. I think some of them are in the program, but haven't started the working side of it yet. I think one's in baseball. He's in the turf program. So he's getting it. I mean, instantly he's getting to see the before, what it looks like while he's playing. And then he's got to understand at some point it's got to get taken care of. So, I mean, he's getting good experience and he ain't even started. So
Now, through this program, are you going to get an associate's degree? I think this is set up on a couple of levels, a 1-year path and a 2-year. Are you on the 2-year path?
yes, sir.
You're going to get an associate's degree, and that'll be in what will it be called? Turf management?
I believe that's what it was. Turf management, the associate's degree.
Associates in science. All
Mhm.
right. And, I haven't really asked you much about your background, but I do want to find out what led you into this role. You're from Harrison, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Harrison High School?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a goblin.
Oh yeah.
Did you play golf there?
No, I actually didn't start playing golf till I started working on a golf course. I played baseball.
I
So
see.
that kind of
What?
is what struck me really. I mean,
Okay.
throughout this whole program, I mean, and turf management isn't just golf. I mean, you have sports turf, which is huge in colleges that have went to, they've had artificial turf or they have, I mean, real turf. So really you kind of can pick and choose. And I think one thing that was big for me was deciding which ones I wanted to do. And with this program, you get to have 2 internships as well, um, throughout the whole apprenticeship, to where you can kind of go off and try baseball if you wanted. Say you're in golf, you could go do baseball for 2 weeks or more. Or if you wanted to try football, I mean, you can go to football. I think we're kind of trying to talk to U of A right now to try to get maybe the baseball side of a college level, um, which is really what excites me through the whole program, because I played baseball my whole life, which kind of got me to this. And then obviously, like I said in that video, they came and talked to my high school, and I was like, man, it kind of seems like I want to do that. And so I emailed Miss Buchanan or called her or something, and she kind of told me what it was, and then just kind of talked from there. And really, all NorthArk staff's pretty helpful. With any questions, if someone don't know it, they'll find somebody that does. So they all kind of talk.
You know, I guess I was remiss in not spelling this out earlier, but certainly you're working with Big Cedar, but that's not the only employer that's connected to this program. And in fact, several city municipal parks and recreation departments that where they want to train people to work on ball fields and even just civic parks, I suppose, in their landscaping. And then also a couple of professional baseball teams, or at least one perhaps, the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. I think they also have some people in this program as well, right? I want to invite
yet.
I tell you what, let's invite Michelle to unmute if she wants to explain a little bit, or if she's in a position near a microphone and can do that. I kind of just sprung that on her, but she's a big part of this program, certainly. And if she's willing to, she could come on and talk about some of the other employer partners. Maybe she's logistically not in a good position to do that, but here she is. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I'll give it a shot. Can you hear me all right, David?
Pretty good. I think so. We'll let you know if it's not working. Go ahead.
My connection isn't the greatest, but we'll give it a shot. But so Keaton, you're doing a great job. I appreciate everything that you're doing to promote the program. And David, you're doing a great job with the questions as well. So we have a really great program going on. And as a professor, I'm really excited to be part of this program and to help students like Keaton, not only in the classroom, but then to see them excel on the job as well. So it's been really neat. We do have students.
Go ahead, Michelle.
We do have students at golf courses, but like you said, we've also got ones in park and rec situations. We have some in the baseball situations. And so it's been really neat to not only cater to one avenue of turf grass management, but to have students from different perspectives asking questions in class and providing discussions.
You know, this is a cutting edge program, I think, and it was positioned that way when we began as one of the very few, if not the only one in the nation. Michelle, if you could amplify a little bit about that. There's visions for NorthArk to become a real leader, not just in your region of the country, but perhaps nationwide, in leading people into this field through registered apprenticeship.
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately our goal, is that we can go beyond the borders of our close confined areas. You know, we do have Missouri as a state outside of Arkansas right now, just because of Big Cedar and the proximity, but it would be so neat to see this expand much beyond that. And I think there is a vision of going beyond the borders of Arkansas, beyond the borders of the Ozarks, and helping to train up people in this field. You know, there is a huge need for people to work in the turf grass industry. I get calls from employers, emails from employers on almost every other day situation, asking me if we have people to come work at their courses, giving me job advertisements, and trying to find people to work in the turfgrass field. So to be able to help train people in that, to be able to see some vision for where this program could grow, it's been really exciting for me.
Now, Michelle, you've been one of the key ones for designing curriculum here. I want to ask you both this question because the turf management apprenticeship encompasses not just those courses that are specific that we've mentioned, soil science and turf grass management, I believe was the name of the course, but there are also business management courses that will allow an individual to get a grasp on the industry as a whole. Is that a big part of what you're doing, Keaton?
Yeah, and we've had, I mean, obviously you take the basics and you take things like accounting, because when you think about it, like all the assistants, it's kind of their job. When I was talking to the assistant at Big Cedar, knowing how much of some fertilizer you need. Like we'll just go with fertilizer. If you need 50 pounds, but you don't know how to get to the price point of that, I mean, you're kind of in trouble. And when you take something as big as a scale as Big Cedar, like they're spending thousands at one time. So you can't just mess up $1,000 all the time. You're going to be a lot of trouble. So going from finding out the acreage of what you need to the pounds of nitrogen and phosphorus and potassium, you got to have all the schooling for that. And we have all the classes for that, which I didn't think when I just started. I was like, well, that ain't really a big deal. That's easy. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it. And that's kind of, I haven't learned it all yet. So it's kind of hard for those kind of questions, just because, I mean, obviously I'm not that good yet, but one day. So, but I can ask questions and he can kind of tell me what kind of goes into it. And there's a lot more that you have to be careful about than just saying, oh, I need 4 bags of fertilizer.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Well, we want to invite others to weigh in here, raise your hand, and we'll recognize you to unmute or put a question in the chat if you'd like. Mary Beth Hatch with us from the State Department of Education, but formerly with NorthArk and probably the key person in designing this program. Mary Beth, you want to unmute and add anything?
I don't know about the key person, but I'm definitely glad to be here. I'm definitely glad to get this invitation, David. So thank you. Yeah, Keaton has been a really great example, I think, if we're looking at students that are interested in this. And that's kind of a question I wanted to ask, because I would like to hear his perspective. For students that are looking at this as an option, for school and career, of course, through the apprenticeship model. But what would you say, Keaton, is, what kind of person is this type of program for, going through the apprenticeship model, where you are getting your education and you are having those work-based learning opportunities?
I think it really, I think you can take this to any other job, really, but for this one, you got to be determined. You can't go into it thinking, oh, this is going to be easy, like just work and do college online. Because I've caught myself multiple times to where I'm like, I'll completely forget about school because I'm working 40 plus hours a week. But so really it's going to take someone that can keep themselves straight, and school has to be first. I mean, honestly, and you can talk to any superintendent, any assistant. I kind of talked to them. They said, if you ain't got the schooling, you ain't got a job. Like if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, you're useless. So it kind of takes a motivated person. That's kind of where I would say I am right now, kind of to keep going, because at some points you kind of get burnt out, but then something will happen and you're like, oh, I want to keep doing this. So it does take someone to stay with it.
You hear that, kids? Stay with your schooling, but then also combine it with a little work on the job experience, and you've got an apprenticeship and you're on the right track. Keaton, this has been a blast. Anything else you want to add?
Not personally, unless anyone has questions that hasn't got to ask them. So
Right. And if you do, we'll hang on for just a minute longer. You know, our day is pretty well complete. We've even got a Lonnie Emmerd pun in here. I guess I inadvertently talked about this program being on the cutting edge. And of course, Lonnie noticed the pun that was embedded in that. So thanks a lot, Lonnie. I think he's gone now. Well, I don't see other questions. I guess that means we've covered it all. Keaton, you're on the right track. You're a bright young man, and I'm privileged to be able to talk to you. And also,
no, it's a blast.
we're really privileged at the Office of Skills Development to have great partners like Mary Beth, who is still a good partner of ours in a new role, and to Michelle Buchanan, Dr. Laura Berry, and the others at NorthArk, and all our friends at Big Cedar. So I think we've pretty well wrapped it up. If you were on this call live and can send the recording to your friends, others can watch it. That'll be great. Thank you, Keaton, and thanks to everyone for being here.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.
Thank you.